Hey, happy Saturday, kids. Hopefully everybody's off to a wonderful start of their weekend. Hopefully your Friday night went well. Congratulations to all the Celtics fans out there. Raptors fans, sucks, man, but you got the chip last year, so nobody feels too bad for you guys. I'm really looking forward for the NBA playoffs to continue, but we still got a lot of baseball to talk about before we even get into the NFL tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, you can't feel too bad for Raptors fans because they won a title last year, so I mean, it is what it is.
Hey, they took my Bucks out. I don't feel bad for them in the slightest. So, no, I don't feel bad. What I do feel bad for, though, is anybody who hasn't been checking out the new game over at Overlay that we started to talk about a little bit this morning. I know a lot of you guys are big into sports betting, like my degenerate friend Matt over here. And what they're doing now is setting you up with a type of like single or multi-entry like matchup type of settings where you can bet on one guy to beat the other one. Like it's, Patrick Corbin versus Ian Anderson. I'll let you give it a real quick overview.
Yeah, so it's very sports betting like, and it's like the prop markets, and you're playing the market. So it's player versus player, kind of like how Overlay is known for. So that's the same, but you're putting your money on, one specific pick. So Ozuna versus Swanson, for instance. And right now it's like a pick a match. So there's, whoever scores more between Ozuna and Swanson is going to be the winner.
For example, like I click on Ozuna, if I just want to bet, say $1, I can submit a single entry. Just did it. It's so simple. I just bet $1.
Mm-hmm. For sure. So, and the point is, like, as the markets move, let's say 10 people bet this and they all take Ozuna. Well, then when you go look at it an hour later, Ozuna is going to be favored. So you can then try to middle it if you like to play that game. There's just a lot of different ways to skin the cat in this, and I'm excited to try it out, and I'm definitely going to be dabbling in it for NFL Sunday.
All right, guys. We will do a better, longer video on that next week, but we just thought we'd get it on one of the baseball videos because it is kind of exciting, and that should play out to what some of you guys like. We all like our games a little different, but I can definitely see a few of you guys that I talked to getting into that.
Mm-hmm.
All right. We look good. We're up on screen now?
Yeah.
Perfect. All right, guys. NFL starting tomorrow. If you want a membership, they're all up through the website. We'd love to have you guys. We just got done doing an hour-long final thoughts video about our roster construction for Sunday. I feel like it was one of the better videos we've done. Something that we try to do for you guys that, again, we can't always be perfect on it, but is give you fewer selections. And watched a couple of the other DFS shows the other day where they tell you 19 quarterbacks are in play. Does that help you at all? Because there's really only 26 guys going. So we really try to whittle it down to a smaller player pool for y'all.
Yeah, we try our best. It's tough, but we try our best.
Yep, day passes are up. All the memberships. Good time to grab a monthly one. We got 3 sports rolling, even though basketball's getting close to being done. Subscribe to the station if you're new to it. Thumbs up is appreciated. Let's talk about pitching. I would definitely label today's pitching as more solid than spectacular. Not a lot of guys you're going to feel great about going for 25-plus points today. But a guy that we've mentioned a lot on the show and that we'll go right back after again tonight is Zach Gallen. He's a very good real-life pitcher. He's, up there as one of the Cy Young candidates this year. Definitely not leading, but he's definitely up there. And he's not a guy that is going to go out and get you 30 or 40 like a Bieber or a Darvish when he's on his A game, but he's at home against Seattle. You feel very safe for him to roll in with 20 points today.
Yeah, listen, we don't like picking on Seattle as much as some other people do, but Gallen's the best pitcher on this slate. There aren't a ton of good options. He was very good in that San Fran start before he kind of let his guard down and had one really bad inning. He was actually really good before that. Only allowed 1 base runner, and then it blew up on him, which happens sometimes. Walked a couple guys, and it exploded from there. It happens. Again, he's really good. That was the first start in his career he's ever allowed more than 3 earned runs, and it was all because of 1 inning. Expect him to start a new streak today. At this price point on this slate, he makes sense in all formats.
We respect Seattle more than the masses do, but we don't fear them by any stretch. They're a mediocre strikedown team with a below-average lineup.
Agreed.
All right, let's keep rolling down from there. A couple things. So usually we talk about a lot of cheap guys on here. We are a little heavy on the higher-priced players today, but I want to be very clear about Jose Abreu. This is less about Jose Abreu and more about using the Chicago White Sox as, I wouldn't say contrarian, but maybe under-owned stack in GPPs.
Yeah, so again, for those of you who know our videos and watch them, you know this, but for newer people, our videos are not just, these are the guys you have to play. They're talking points. There's probably not going to be lineup you make tonight with Abreu and the two other high-priced guys we're going to talk about. Just know that going in. So in tournaments, I really like the idea of the White Sox here. Abreu is probably their top overall piece. They're in a good spot against Fulmer and then a lefty. The White Sox crush lefties. Abreu crushes lefties. And they aren't going to be really high owned because you've got the Angels and the Rockies in very good spots in cores at good price points. So the White Sox are going to be under owned. I like them quite a bit here.
You know, there's a couple of really good teams in baseball. And while the White Sox don't qualify for me as like a really good team yet, they are really good at DFS because they steal bases, they hit home runs. The top half of their lineup is loaded with some young guns like Jimenez and Robert. Abreu is kind of the steady Eddie right there in the middle. You know, on a day because of Coors, you can get under owned. One of your favorite things in baseball is to go after another team when Coors is too highly owned.
Yep.
All right, next up, we're going to go right back to the well. Monster night last night for Adalberto Mondesi of the Kansas City Royals. I believe he's even $100 cheaper today, if my memory serves me correctly. You were right. They moved him back up to the 2-hole last night, and he did not falter. Instead, I think he was the top play on the slate overall, at least top play dollar, you know, for everything. He's a power and speed combo. He hit a home run early, and then he decided to take a walk later in the game and turn that into 12 points, 2 stolen bases. I'm sure he'll be big chalk tonight.
He's got to be popular, but why wouldn't he be popular? I mean, the only reason not to use him is if you're stacking a team here, and even then, makes a lot of sense to just get him in as a one-off. Big time power, speed, upside, even cheaper than he was last night. I mean, the only thing not to like about him is the increased ownership. Other than that, he looks good all over. I mean, this is a guy that could easily be, you know, much more expensive in this spot. I'll say that.
So last night, you and I talked about this for a while. You faded Jared Walsh. We talked about him on the show as a cash game lock, but that you'll always fade a guy who's not that good if he's going to be too highly owned. The late home run killed you. You admitted it. It wasn't fun. You hated it. It happens. But this one's a little different, I'm thinking, in your eyes, because Mondesi's actually pretty good. He just had a really bad start to the season.
Yeah, exactly. I will definitely use Mondesi here. The only reason I wouldn't is if I'm stacking. I like Mondesi much more as a player than Jared Walsh, although I'll give Walsh credit. He's hot right now.
Yeah, he had a night, but if he hadn't hit that home run late, it would have been a nice fade.
True.
All right. There's a guy on the Angels that some of you might not be aware of who he is. Pretty well paid. He's got a few decent career numbers. He goes by the name of Mike Trout. I'm assuming people will force him into their lineups tonight for good reason. You want to roster him in cash games. I can get on board the GP fade because he is 6K, but he's seeing it well right now, and it's Mike Trout in Coors Field. This is just a guy that, you know, we don't normally bring up high-priced chalk, but just to kind of talk him over, it's a good idea to try to meander over to his name and get him in your cash lineup tonight.
Yeah, I mean, listen, the cores are going to be. The Angels are going to be very popular. The Rockies are going to be popular, and it makes sense because they're in cores and a great ballpark against pitchers that are probably better than the public thinks they are, but not pitchers you're scared to pick on by any means. People salivate at the chance to play Trout in cores. They talk about it all the time. They don't play it here every year by any means. He's going to be big chalk just based on that. I mean, even in my tournaments last night, he was close to 50% owned. So that's popular on a big slate. You know what I mean?
Definitely. So it's a good idea to play him in cash games today, but any guy that's that highly owned at 6K is always fadeable in GPPs.
Amen.
All right. So the other guy that we like that's high price in this game is going to be Charlie Blackmon. So baseball players go through a lot more ups and downs than other sports, right? Like in basketball, you get days off. Sometimes you're just in a bad matchup, you know, against a very good, you know, defender or a good defensive team. And then the next day you're not. In baseball, there's a lot more ups and downs with, you know, your confidence and how you're seeing the ball. Charlie Blackmon started off the year on fire. I mean, he was the best hitter in baseball for a couple of weeks. Then he went into a little bit of a slump for a couple of weeks. Looked very, very human. At one point, this dude was batting like 450, like over a month into the year. Now he's all the way down to 331 to get you an idea of how slow things got. Well, he had 3 singles over his last 2 games before this all culminating in a walk-off grand slam last night. He's worked his way out of his slump. He's 56 at 100 and at home against a right-handed pitcher, which is a spot that Charlie Blackmon used to be overwhelming chalk, and he'll still be popular tonight, but maybe a little lower owned because of the Trout love.
Right. I still think you play him in cash games here, though. You know, just in a good spot at home, and it's more than easy to get him in your lineups, even with Trout. There's just so much value on the slate. The only reason why you don't have to lock both in, I think, is because it takes up 2 outfield spots, and that's where a lot of the value comes from. So you don't have to play both. Trout's probably the priority, but Blackmon looks damn good here. Hard not to like him after that walk-off grand slam. I mean, yeah.
Rock and roll, guys. So that's what we got for today. Memberships available through the website. I'm going to work on the NFL article this afternoon. I hope to have it out before I have to take off for some plans. If not, it'll be out late night tonight. But we're ready to rock for tomorrow. I want to wish everybody best of luck in their fantasy football matchups tomorrow, your MLB DFS tonight. If you're playing the showdown for NBA, rock and roll. Good luck in everything you do, and we'll talk to you soon.
It's a fun time, and let me ask you this before we leave. Who wins tonight, Lakers or Rockets?
Lakers.
Yeah, I think so too. They're just the better squad.
They're clearly the better squad, and the Rockets' rotation is so shallow that losing, 13 or 14% of it with Daniel House gone, I mean, it hurts them. He's a big guy who can, at least spend some time on LeBron, meanwhile the other guys get really, really tired. And, kind of like my boy Giannis, like playoff Harden's not the same guy.
No, it's not. The playoffs are just different.
Yes, it is. It very, very much is. So I struggle to see the Rockets winning this game. Doesn't mean they can't. I kind of expected the Clippers to finish the job last night, but, it's hard to close teams out. Teams get desperate. They do everything they can to stay alive.
Yeah, exactly. And these teams that are desperate are good also.
Yeah, the Nuggets just had way more at stake last night than the Clippers. The Clippers can go to bed last night thinking, all right, we'll step it up. We'll get them game 6, whereas the Nuggets don't win and, they're gone.
Exactly. They're gone from the bubble. So I'm with you.
So, all right, guys, thank you very much.
Thank you.